My wife Deborah and I met in Zambia. We met in Livingstone. But shortly after we met, I'd already taken a job in France and I moved to Paris. And a few months later, I invited her to come and join me. And yeah, that was the plan. We put everything in place. We crossed every single T and dotted every single I in terms of the Schengen visa application. There was nothing we left to chance. Everything was perfect. I arranged to meet her at Paris-Charles de Gaulle airport. And I got there just about bang on time because I was coming from work. And yeah, waited at the gate for over an hour and there was no sign of her. So I'm like, what's going on? So I went and I asked the immigration officers and they said, after a while, and obviously my pidgin French and they spoke little English, but they were able to let me know that Deborah had been taken to a police hotel, as they put it, where she'd be treated wonderfully and I could go and hang out with her and we'd probably be able to play pool together and things like that. Eventually, I managed to trace this centre, which was on the fringe of Charles de Gaulle Airport. Luckily, I had my car, drove round, and I found her. And basically, it was not prison hotel, just prison. It was like full-on detention centre, behind wire, behind big fences, and I had to go in and sit in a detention room and wait for her. It's like being in a police station to be interviewed and wait for her to be brought in like she was a criminal. The reason they didn't let her into France was the fact that although all her documentation was in place, her insurance, her Schengen visa, everything else you can imagine, she didn't have enough cash on her. Now, I have travelled around the world and I have never been asked to show cash when entering any country. The fact that I've got plastic, I've got a Visa card or a MasterCard or something similar, or access to a bank account is enough, yes, but look at my skin colour. And that was the fact. Because she was a black African woman without cash in her pocket, they detained her. They wanted 3,500 euros in cash in her possession before they'd let her into the country. It took me 24 hours, but I got in touch with my brother, a few of my friends in Paris. We came up with the money because I didn't have it to hand and took it to her in the detention centre in an envelope. And we asked the authorities if they could lock it away in a safe and give her a receipt, and she'd claim it back when she was going to court to hopefully be released from her detention centre. They refused. They said it wasn't their job, it's nothing to do with them, that it was up to her to look after the money. Great, 3.5 grand in a detention centre. Not much can go wrong there, can it? But what choice did she have? So she had the money in an envelope. She's sharing a room with 2 other women. Deborah's from Zambia. Her roommates, one was Nigerian, one was from the Gambia. And they got on very well. They were all in the same boat. There was a bit of empathy between all of them. So great. And luckily they did get on, because the next day, Deborah went to take a shower in very dirty facilities that were there, where they treated the detainees like they were shit. They hadn't committed any crimes, remember? They were just being held while their immigration status was being investigated. Deborah went for this shower, left the money on the bed. Obviously, Deborah was in a panic situation, wondering what had happened to the money. But fortunately, the Gambian lady she was sharing with had picked up the money and kept it safe. And when they crossed paths again, she told her, "Oh, I've got the money on my person. Here is your 3,500 euros. It's a remarkable story, because in that situation, these people were desperate, and often the case was they were lacking the funds to get into France. It wasn't always the case, but there was a primary reason. But she returned the money to her. Deborah doesn't know her name. All she knows is that she's from the Gambia, and around about 2014, probably February, she was held in this detention centre at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. Now, I doubt that anyone could ever trace her, but if they could, Deborah would love to thank her face to face. We owe her so much gratitude for her honesty and decency when she was facing a desperate situation herself is quite remarkable. The following day, Deborah went to court and was immediately released from detention by the judge, who was also highly critical of the immigration officers who had detained her on a spurious grounds. Obviously racist, but the judge didn't go quite that far. Whether we could take further action afterwards, it would have cost us too much, I guess, and we were just relieved to be together and able to get on with our lives. And from there, everything else is history. We've been married for like nearly 11 years, still very much in love. But yeah, would all that have worked out the same way if it wasn't for that woman from the Gambia? Who knows?